When it comes to playing the victim, it's easy to think that only few people here and there who are addicted to attention are doing this. What if I told you that this is how society works? Society, as a construct, is always the victim, and the individual is to blame. Haven't you noticed that anytime anyone achieves any type of greatness, he or she is expected to give thanks to society for enabling the provisions for their success? But the moment someone ends up bad, it's always the parents that didn't raise a child well, or it's always the individual that didn't want to face life. So when things go wrong, it's always the individual. When things go well, society always wants the credit. Society is a victim construct in which commoners hide so that they don't have to take responsibility. Now, don't get things twisted here. As an individual, you don't have that much power by yourself. So as an individual, you can be harmed by the collective. That's obvious. So if the collective harmed you, the collective harmed you. If the collective harms you, that's not your fault, it's the collective being a coward. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who simply don't want to face anything in life and they just want to run away all the time. But it's not possible to run away all the time. So what happens? They all join this construct that we call society, in which they now together look for a victim to victimize, and because they are the group, they have more resources available. They will spread some smear campaign in which they, the group, are perceived as the victim, and they highlight the defects of the victim, the real victim, and because the defects of the real victim is exposed, people are likely to believe the group. Even though it's the group that victimizes the individual, but because it's easier to blame the individual than to face that you're dealing with a group of insane and mentally gone people, that's why people often join the group against the single victim. And it works for a while. Now look, nobody would justify you stabbing someone. If you stab someone, everyone would agree you need to go to jail or action must be taken against you because you don't just carry a knife with you and stab people. But what if you are in the streets buying groceries and someone jumps on you to beat you? And by coincidence, well, at least what they call coincidence in the world, you have this little knife with you that you just purchased in a shop, and you take the knife and stab the individual that's beating you. If you stab the individual once or twice, the individual that's beating you is wounded and now you can run away. If that happens, people will say, okay, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. That individual came after you. You had no choice but to use whatever you could to get yourself out of danger. So if later the perpetrator dies, the police would say, hey, the perpetrator violated someone and it backfired and now he or she is dead. But what if they find the corpse and the individual that died was stabbed 50 or 80 times, and later they find the individual that stabbed the one that passed away. Let's say now that the individual that stabbed 50 or 80 times says it was self-defense. What do you think is going to happen? The judge in the courthouse would say, hold on a minute, sir. You told me this individual came behind you and attacked you. And that's why you picked up this knife just to get yourself out of that dangerous situation. Why did you have to stab him 50 or 80 times? 2 times were enough. And here's the thing, if you are in a dangerous situation and someone is harming you, the moment you have a leverage to get out, you would get out. Even if you would have stabbed them more than twice, after the 5th time, psychologically, You would have seen so much blood that you wanted to leave. And when the examiners examined the body, they realized that the stab wounds were all over the body, not just in the front. If someone comes after you and you confront them with a knife, it's in the front that you should have stab wounds, not in the back, not in the ankles. So what you're saying of self-defense, that's simply BS. It's not true. You just had your fit of rage and you decided to victimize someone to be relieved, and now you don't want to have consequences, so you play the victim. What I just gave there was a parable, but that's how a lot of people are. Their story of being the victim, having to defend themselves, it's believable, it's convincing on the short term. But here's the danger of playing the victim. People that play the victim, they get this high of escaping reality. That's why they play the victim. People that were truly victimized, they have no time to play the victim. They have no time to make up stories. Why? Because when you were truly victimized and you have those wounds that are leaking, hey, you want recovery as soon as possible. For example, if you were stabbed or you were shot and you're bleeding, you want to go to the hospital. You have no time to seek sympathy from anyone. You just want to get to the hospital to get surgery or whatever you need in order for you to recover. Someone that plays the victim, however, whether something traumatic happened or not, doesn't matter. Someone that plays the victim just doesn't want to deal with reality. They don't want to comply with solutions and they don't want to face themselves. Because to comply with solutions, you need to be involved. And if you are to be involved in a solution, you must be responsible. So you must self-reflect to check whether you are responsible or not. And this is something a lot of people don't want to do. Self-reflect, don't want to face themselves. They just want to escape. So playing the victim is an easy tool that works. But this tool gives them a high that they get addicted to. And after a while, they're so addicted to escaping that they don't even realize that they are addicted. And when it becomes obvious that they always have an excuse for everything, now that they can't deny it anymore, now they have to face that they have an issue. They have to face that there's a problem to be faced. But even then, they don't want to face it. So they will look for victims together with other people who are just as miserable as they are. Yes, a lot of people are addicted to their own misery. They are. But just like a drug addict that's addicted to cocaine, he or she does not, I'm going to use he now, he does not want to admit that he has a problem. He doesn't want to admit that he is defective. He doesn't want to admit that his defectiveness will harm both him and others in the long run. At the same time, he doesn't want this defect to become public knowledge, because then people can either use it against him or people can force him to look for help. But here's the thing, he doesn't want help because he doesn't want to even admit there is an issue, because it's too painful or too embarrassing to deal with the root. So they will hide their addiction just to preserve social relationships, and after a while they'll only begin to use people just to be relieved. So eventually they'll lose empathy for other people and it's only about them staying alive. They're in a survival mode 24/7. They always need to have their cocaine shot to feel at ease. That's the only thing that's on their mind. Everyone else is just a tool for them to be relieved. That's how it goes with drug addicts. The same way it goes with psychic addicts. People that play the victim are addicted to the relief that they get from what they think is a successful escape from reality. But here's the thing, there is no such thing as successfully escaping reality. It can't happen. But you can experience a high as if it's possible, and that's what people that play the victim experience, and that's what they crave. And it's quite exhausting to play the victim. That's why when it works out and people believe their lies, they get this high again. So they become addicted to chase this high. So they begin to lie more, they begin to cheat more, they begin to scam more, they become worse and worse. And they don't want to admit that they are in a downward spiral. So when it comes so far that consequences are overtaking them, now they want others in this downward spiral just so that they can have company. Misery loves company, that's true. So playing the victim is not beneficial at all. Not to the one doing it and not to the environment that condones it. Because if you condone people to play the victim, you'll be sucked into their downward spiral. And it happens before you know it. Yes, it happens before you know it. Just like people who remain friends with drug addicts. In the beginning, they condone the excuse of drug addicts, so they may give some money. Okay, here, go and get your cocaine shot or your heroin or whatever. So they think, wait, it's a one-time thing. It's not going to happen again. But then it happens again, again, and again. And before they know it, they are enablers of someone's addiction. And before they know it, they're now participating in illegal activities just to hide the addiction of their quote-unquote loved one or their relative. And then comes the time that the drug addict turns on them so that the drug addict can escape, and then they're the ones left behind with the drugs and with the police and a possible prison sentence. There are people in jail who were convicted for drug possession, and they were not even drug dealers. They were covering one of their relatives or friends who was a drug addict, thinking they were helping the individual. Now they were helping the individual, but not to recover. They thought they were helping the drug addict to recover, while the drug addict was just using them and draining them. So the intentions were right, but the drug addict was not right. And that's how they were dragged into a bad situation in which they ended up in prison. Yes, there are people out there that ended in prison because they were taken advantage of by people that faked wanting help, even though they didn't really want help at all. Now, some people die while being scammed by people that fake wanting help. Because a lot of people, they fake it to get your sympathy. You think you're helping them because they ask for it. Yes, they ask for help, but they don't really want help. They're scamming you. And some people end up dead because of it. For example, you may have a female that was in a domestic violence situation, and she keeps complaining about her ex-boyfriend, and she gets sympathy from other people, and people reach out to her and say, okay, you can live with us for a moment till we find another place. And she's very thankful and all of that. But every day, when she leaves that house, where she got some accommodation, she goes back to that ex-boyfriend, and she keeps on cheating on that ex-boyfriend. She continues in that negative cycle. And then, one day the ex-boyfriend, who's also a stalker, looks for her, and he follows her to her new address, where she lives with a family that helps her out. And then the stalker harms that family. And now that family may have to deal with a dead loved one or with other trauma, though to that individual that faked wanting help. And now she's gone again, and she does the same thing over and over again, draining other people just to be relieved. Look, there are people that are truly victimized. People that are truly victimized, they know they need help, so you don't even have to convince them that they need help. You may have to push them to face reality, but they'll face it. But someone that's playing the victim, they are victimizers. They don't want to deal with any type of reality. They just want to escape all the time. And because it's not possible to escape all the time, they will seek others to victimize so that others get the negative attention and they're off the hook. Remember the example I gave earlier in this video. If the forensics come, or the medical examiners, and examine a corpse and see it was stabbed twice, and then the police captures a suspect, and suspect claims it was self-defense, if there are only 2 stab wounds, and the stab wounds are located in a logical position on the corpse, then it may work to fool the legal system that it was just self-defense. But if there are 50, 80 or more stab wounds, people are going to say, no. This is not a a manifestation of self-defense. This is a manifestation of rage. For example, and I'm going to give another example now. If you have someone that claims that there's a robbery going on in a shop and they are frightened, that's an incident that someone robs a shop. And if they tell you that they are in a bad situation because someone is robbing a shop, of course you think, I'm going to call the police, I'm going to help them out. But if they keep calling you every day, multiple times, telling you that they are in a situation where a shop is being robbed, you're going to think, huh? Come on now. No robber is going to stay longer in that situation than needed. Because every time he remains longer in that situation, the police can capture him. So nobody can be in a situation where there's a robber 24/7. Does not happen. That's natural logic right over there. But people that play the victim, they lose this sense of natural logic. That's why after a while, people begin to see through their scams. If someone is in their early 20s and they're complaining about their bad childhood, it's understandable. Not everyone had a pleasant home to grow up in. But when someone is in their mid-30s and they're still doing it, people are going to think, oh, well, hold on a minute. Yet more than a decade, that's your 20s, to look for help and to process things and start over again. Why are you still complaining? And if someone is in their 40s or older and they're still complaining about the bad childhood, people are going to say, hold on a minute, this has nothing to do with childhood. Yes, there may be things that affected you for life, but you still can cope with them successfully and you can still look for solutions, no matter how difficult things are. You just don't want to face anything. You don't want to improve yourself, you don't want to be responsible, and now you're using something that happened in the past as an excuse so people feel sympathy for you so they won't hold you accountable for the here and now. Someone that's defective due to victimization, they're willing to receive constructive criticism and they'll improve. But someone that plays the victim never wants any criticism at all. They'll protect that image of them as a victim no matter what. And this is the insane part about it. Nobody enjoys being a victim. Nobody that was raped enjoyed being raped. Nobody that had a gun to their face while a shop was robbed enjoyed it happening. Nobody enjoys being a victim. So no real victim wants to build a reputation of themselves as a victim. If something happened to them that really affected their lives, and it still affects them until this day, and they're open about it, then that's correct. They should be open about it. They're not playing the victim, that's being real. But even then, you can sense that they really want help, and you can see with the fruit of their lives that they're improving. So someone that plays the victim, they go against natural logic and they go against common sense. But because they use the emotions of others, people often are blinded by their emotions and they can't see it for what it is. I'm telling you, when you're dealing with someone, don't just relate to them on an emotional level. Examine them. And if you see that someone persists in being a victim, then lower your contact. And if possible, break all contact with such an individual. Because no good will come from you associating with him or her. Agree with Christ and be at peace.